Welcome to Around the Weird. Here's your host, the museum curator of the strange and unusual, Mr. Nothing.
Thank you, mysterious voice, and welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I've found in my travels. Today it is Poetry Thursday, so I want to talk about, of course, poetry that has interested me, but as well as I want to talk about a black poet, black writers, because it is Black History Month. Very important to catalog those writers, not only during this month, but in other months as well. And today's poem is all about frustration, dissatisfaction in the current moment. I am referring to Quiet Alcohol by Morgan Parker. For those who don't know, Morgan Parker is a Black American writer who has been getting her work published in the past 10-ish years. She's written like a book, a collection of essays, a collection of poetry, and she's been nominated or has won a number of awards for her work. And she often does like spoken word type poetry and things like that. I think Danez Smith has done a foreword for one of her books, which is interesting because I've talked about Danez Smith on this channel once before, maybe more than once before, when talking about their poetry as well. So a little bit of a connection there. But without further ado, let's talk about Quiet Alcohol. I will read it, do a little bit of analysis, and we will move on from there. Quiet Alcohol. It is our usual holiday. You ask if you can trouble me for a glass of whiskey. Someone asks me offhand about the hate in my spine. I say fuck babies, and my mother didn't like the flowers I bought her. And do you see what I mean? My mother is always a different person. These are standard answers, but lately in pale light I examine bruises I hope are from you. Teach myself mechanics of clear evenings, and I am steeped in insults for you. I want quiet alcohol untouched by light and fingertips, settled safely under half-moon crest dilating with slow breath. There are no feelings here, and I do not want to go home. Soon we will be underwater, life forms in air pockets, and I do not trust this place to scoop us up, teach us to move, hips following current, arms like pillars expanding and stretching under highway glow. You know I always cry at holidays. In terms of analysis, there's quite a bit to unpack with this poem. Unfortunately, it does feel a little abstract to me, so I won't be able to, touch upon everything. And I do encourage you, let me know in the comments what you think, because I think there's a lot of different interpretations you could take from this poem. In terms of narrative, there doesn't seem to be a narrative. Rather, she says, someone asked me offhand about the hate in my spine. I say, fuck babies, my mother didn't like the flowers I bought her. Do you see what I mean? And then the narrator just goes on a whole tangent, ending up by saying, I always cry at holidays. That does feel a little important because at the beginning of the poem, they say it is our usual holiday. And then saying, I always cry at holidays at the end, that feels significant just because, is this usually how the narrator, how the subject of the poem reacts during holidays? Do they usually go on these sort of tangents? Are they frustrated by something, like a lot of unspoken kind of grievances, sort of celebrating Festivus, but not really? That's a dumb joke. I'm undermining the poem by making that joke, I think. But maybe there's just something the narrator hasn't really gotten over with what's going on for them. And you might ask, where does that frustration come from? Because there does seem to be a lot of frustration, and because you see, fuck babies, and my mother didn't like the flowers I bought her, and do you see what I mean? My mother is always a different person. These are standard answers. But lately in pale light I examine bruises I hope are from you. Teach myself mechanics of clear evenings, and I am steeped in insults for you. That's getting at the frustration, but also it's sort of highlighting an underlying problem. Because they say, my mother didn't like the flowers I got her, and my mother is always a different person. indicating a frustration. But they also say, but lately in pale light I examine, bruises I hope are from you. So what exactly does that mean? Who is the you in this poem? I feel like that could really reveal a lot. Are they still referring to their mother in this poem? That was my initial thought. But when they say their mother and then they say you, I doubt they would switch the frame of reference there, the pronouns that they might be using. Like they just constantly refer back to their mother, or they say she or something like that. So is the you in this poem a lover? Is the you like another friend or something? Is the you, a parent, someone close to them? Things are clearly not going well there. And I kind of also lean toward it being a lover or someone, because it does say fuck babies, because they bring up their mother. Like, so if they're saying fuck babies, they might... well, I guess this could be a newborn baby. That's something I'm thinking about right now. Because the bruises could just be, the baby hits you, or baby, like, you breastfeed and that causes bruises. But it could also mean, like, maybe you're not able to get pregnant. Like, you're like, fuck babies, maybe you miscarried or something like that. There's a lot that you can kind of pull apart in that sort of chain of thought. Maybe I'm just, associating incorrectly, and that's not what she's talking about. That's not what the narrator is getting at. But it is clear that the narrator feels a lot of frustration, and there's a hope for, more calmer tomorrow. Because they do say, I want quiet alcohol, untouched by light and fingertips, settled safely under half moon, crest dilating with slow breath. There are no feelings here, and I do not want to go home. So it's a desire to be in a much more clear, kind of safer, more meditating type of place. And then in the last, kind of section, they say, soon we will be underwater life forms in air pockets, and I do not trust this place to scoop us up, teach us to move, hips following current. And I don't really know what a lot of that means. Again, I think it's largely open to interpretation, but I guess like a transition in life that you're not certain is going to go well for you. It's very clear that the narrator of this poem is at a very difficult point in their life, and they're searching for solace. They're searching for a more peaceful time. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Quiet Alcohol by Morgan Parker. Pretty solid poem. Definitely one of the more challenging ones that I've read in Black History Month. I have a tendency to focus on, poems of strife, poems of the history aspect of it, rather than just, a person just talking about their life, which is very important, because, when we hear Black stories, we should not just focus on, the bad, like the slavery or anything like that, or the Jim Crow, which is still important, but there's also a need to just focus on, the other aspects of life, other things that other poets write about too. That's a good way to get an understanding of the Black experience, or at least Morgan Parker's experience here. But yeah, pretty interesting poem. I'll put a link to it in the description. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about this poet, this poem, or Poetry Thursday if you're interested in talking about some of it. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and frustrated sort of travels. Farewell.